B-17 just arrived here in Marion, Indiana, and I have 6 World War II veterans. All these gentlemen served on a B-17, just like Yankee Lady that's behind us. I'm with Gene Estle, and Gene is from Marion, Indiana. Gene, this airplane just landed. What went through your mind?
One of the most beautiful planes it's ever built. I love them.
How long has it been since you've seen one, Gene?
Well, I was fortunate enough to fly on the one that came in on 201, and other than that, I hadn't seen one since it got shot down 64 years ago.
Gene, tell us briefly what happened.
Well, on the first mission over Germany, I was shot down, bailed out, our plane blew up, and I became a prisoner of war, and I was a prisoner of war for 14 months.
Born and raised in Marion is Earl Harrell. Earl, you came right out of school and went into the service right out of Marion.
Yes. In fact, Gene and I enlisted together. We graduated from high school together, and we decided that we was going in the Air Force, or Air Corps then. And so we went to all the training here in the States, and I ended up over there a week before he did. And my second mission was his first, and that was the first daylight raid that the 8th Air Force made on Berlin. And subsequently, we went there 8 more times, but Gene went down on his first. And I finished 30 missions, and I finished them 2 weeks before D-Day. So they shot at us all the way in and all the way out.
From Indianapolis, Indiana, is Paul Ellis. Paul, what did you think when you saw this B-17 fly over a little bit ago?
I felt like Jim and the others. It was a big thrill to watch that B-17 come in for a landing and taxi in. It just puts tingles down your spine. That's all there is to it.
How old were you when you were fighting on this B-17?
I was 18 years old. I graduated from high school one day from Newcastle, Indiana. Went in the service the next. I was one of 4 in World War II. And I was telling the boys, my 2 younger brothers were too young to be in World War II, but we were both in the Korean War. So God brought us all back safe and sound from the combat, all of us. And one thing I remember, I was telling the fellas a while ago that on my first mission, I'll never forget it as if it was yesterday, I was in a waist gun because you flew with an experienced crew, the right waist, and they had chaff that you throw out to mess up the German radar. Well, in the first burst of flak, from the 88 to 98, I thought, well, if one will do, I was throwing that chaff out fast as I could. And that's when the sergeant on the left gun turned around and said, my God, what are you doing? I said, well, you said throw it out and mess up the radar. He said, yeah, it'll mess up our guys back there too. They'll have to feather their prop. So that's my first mission. That's my story.
Okay.
I was lucky. Now I had to fly 14, then I come home.
Jack Bitter from Carmel, Indiana. Jack, what was it like fighting on the B-17?
The first mission, believe it or not, was very exciting. It was very interesting. We didn't run into much opposition, they told me. The second mission, and from then on, I was scared to death. And I'm glad that nobody has to go through it again, I hope. My crew was on a mission to bomb Berlin. I was kept down for a practice mission for Deputy Lead Bombardier, and the crew was shot down, managed to land in Russia. They were held prisoner by the Russians for almost 3 months and finally made it back to the United States lines. It was a wonderful, wonderful experience. I don't want to go through it again, though.
Jack, you spent your whole childhood right here in Marion, Indiana.
Yes.
Did you ever think you'd see a B-17 land in your hometown?
Well, no, but when I saw it fly in this morning, I thought, man, that's shiny, and it must have gone through the car wash before it got here. But yeah, that was my first observation. They took it through the car wash.
Don't you think it's the most beautiful airplane ever built?
It sure is today, that's right.
Tell us about a mission that really stands out in your mind, and how old were you?
Well, let me tell you something. I didn't take any missions. You missed my story back up there. Okay. You know, my wife was a nurse, and we got married in '46, but we corresponded and dated before that. And she was in 3 years with Patton's Army. 19 months, had 5 battle stars, and I was scheduled to go, our crew to go to Europe when the war ended, and so I didn't have to go. So she said I did a good job guarding the Gulf of Mexico. I couldn't belong to the VFW, so she said she would join the VFW and I could join the Ladies Auxiliary.
Well, let me ask you this. What was her rank?
Well, she was a first lieutenant, yes, first lieutenant.
So you've been saying yes, ma'am, for quite a few years.
Well, she's been gone 7 years, but for 57 years, she outranked me and told me so.
Ray Miller, co-pilot on a B-17. Ray, you now live in Indianapolis. How did you feel when you saw this airplane fly over a little bit ago?
I was certainly glad that I was asked that question because I saw that beautiful bird come in, and I have to admit, tears came in my eyes and I felt a lump in my throat, and I suddenly had an empathy for our ground crew who stood waiting for us to come back, and they sweated it out. And here I was sweating out the return of our B-17. I want to thank you for the Air Force for the procedure they had in sending inexperienced people up in the air with experienced crews. In my case, it was a blessing. It saved my life. Thank you.
I certainly want to thank Ray and Inge and everyone here, and I hope the people in Marion realize how hard that you people have worked, and it's great to see this ship again. Thank you, and God bless you.
Okay, thank you. That's what I was going to say, but I would like to add that the real heroes are the ones that didn't get back.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.